everybody, and welcome to Sports Japan, the show that brings you the best from the world of Japanese sports. On today's show, we present a special feature on the sport of footbag, where competitors perform various tricks juggling a bag just 5 centimeters in diameter with their feet. We follow Taishi Ishida, a former world champion, as he aims to achieve another major tournament victory. In this week's Pulse, we visit a stone lifting contest in Okayama, a sport which has its roots in Japan's Edo period. And in Frontrunners, we follow the Japanese baton twirler as she tries to make an impact on the world stage.
Footbag is played using a soft, round bag, about 5 centimeters across, often stitched together from 32 separate panels. The high-speed movements of a skilled player have a dance-like quality. Footbag originated in the United States and is now enjoyed by millions worldwide. This is Taishi Ishida, who has dedicated himself to mastery of the sport. At the 2014 World Championships, Ishida became the first ever Asian gold medal winner when he clinched the title in the Shred 30 event, where competitors show off their skills in a 30-second routine. Ishida is unique in making his living solely through footbag.
In Shred 30, the aim is to maximize your score by performing as many difficult skills as you can within a 30-second limit. The more difficult the tricks, the more highly you score. But if you drop the bag, then points are deducted.
All skills are assigned a difficulty rating known as the ad. The more movements performed while the footbag is in the air, the higher the ad. This trick, for example, would score an ad of 1. The skill simply involves catching the footbag. While this next trick has an ad of 2. It contains the additional element of circling the foot around the footbag before catching it. In competition, Ishida performs about 1 technique per second. At 1.61 meters, he's not so tall, but he says that in Shred 30, being small is actually an advantage.
For example, if you think about a 2-ad skill, where you circle your foot around and catch the bag, it's actually more exhausting if you have to make larger movements. So if you're smaller, then you can touch the bag more often, which means you can do more difficult tricks, making it easier for you to build up more points.
So what does Ishida's daily routine look like? We called on him at his home and found him filling up a large number of footbag packages.
I have 1,500 of them to get through. I have to open all the boxes and fill these bags with footbags of the same color. I guess customers wouldn't believe that I'm doing this myself.
In 2011, Ishida abandoned his stable lifestyle to become a professional footbag player. And the first thing he did was to secure himself a good supply of footbags. He negotiated with a factory overseas for a supply of beginner's footbags, packing them himself to help keep the sales price down. With revenue from sales partly helping to fund Ishida's career, he's extra careful to check the footbags for quality.
This kind of dirt is no good. The weight should be standardized too, at 60 grams. So this is okay at 59.1. This one though is 88, and that's unacceptable.
Ishida sells the footbags online and at shops stocking soccer equipment. He says that when he first decided to earn a living solely from footbag, life was very tough.
I thought I'd quickly be able to find a sponsor to provide a regular income. I sent emails to hundreds of companies and wrote letters directly to company presidents, but most hadn't even heard of the sport, and they wouldn't give me the time of day. Some of them said it was difficult to see, or that I should use a football instead. I was told there was no way I could make a living out of doing this.
Despite the struggle, Ishida continued to believe in footbag's potential. He carried on taking part in more than 100 events a year, trying to help popularize the sport. His passion for footbag struck a chord with many, and he began to develop a network of followers. In 2014, his supporters helped lift him to the title of world champion, earning him some media coverage and boosting footbag's profile.
As a footbag pro, I have more opportunities to meet many people, and that's really rewarding. I travel by myself to international tournaments, but it's all thanks to my supporters, and I really want to do my best.
The day of the World Championships is drawing near. Ishida has his sights on the Shred 30 title. He needs to complete as many high difficulty skills as possible, all the while avoiding dropping the bag. With just 2 weeks to go until the competition, though, Ishida is still unable to complete his routine. That's because this year, he's trying to put together a particularly challenging sequence. In 2014, Ishida won the competition with a score of 242. But this year, he's trying for a routine of 274, a full 32 points higher.
Before I could win if I gave it 120%, and my opponent made mistakes and came in at around 80%. But this time around, my difficulty level is high enough that I only need 100% to win.
But there's one part of the routine that he just can't seem to get right. This trick was originally a 3-ad technique, but Ishida has modified it to score a 5.
I always drop it like that. It's just so hard.
Ishida can't make up his mind whether to attempt the difficult skill. There's a particular reason for his dilemma.
In 2014, I was world champion, and in 2016 I came second. But when I think about promoting the sport in Japan, since it's not very well known yet, it's much easier to do it as world number 1. I found that as number 2, it's a lot harder to win everyone's interest.
Ishida knows that becoming world champion again is the quickest way to inspire his compatriots to take a greater interest in the sport. It's the day before his departure. Ishida is practicing on home soil for the final time. He's looking more relaxed.
I decided to dial it back and go for the easier technique. Avoiding error is the surest way to get a high score. And this routine can now score 270.
Today, Ishida has been repeatedly switching his inner souls. He explains that 3 days ago, he switched to an inner soul that he used some time ago and found his success rate improved. He's now trying out different types of insole to get a feel for his best option.
With the inner sole I was using before, I kept dropping the footbag at this point here. Even though I was catching it in the right place, it was too hard and the bag would just bounce off. Now when I catch it in the pocket, it's more stable and I can hold on to it. So I'm going to go for this full length one.
With the new insole, Ishida can now perform his 2-minute singles routine in one go without making any errors. He also has some further good news. One of his sponsors has produced a banner of support.
I hope I can do it. The time has come.
There's no competition prize money, and Ishida has to pay his own way. Whether he wins or loses, he won't make it onto the news. Even so, he feels it's a challenge well worth taking. The World Championships is taking place in Portland, Oregon, the original home of footbag. The sport was invented after someone placed beans inside a sock to use as a rehabilitation tool following knee injury. The quality of competition is likely to be even higher than usual. All of Ishida's rivals already know about his ability. He performs his singles routine without any mistakes, making it through to the final. And in the Shred 30 event, where he hopes to claim the world title, he's made it through to the final 10. In Shred 30, it's essential to avoid dropping the bag if you want to win, as time spent picking it up reduces the time available for tricks, resulting in a lower point score. It's time for the final. Ishida's entire year of practice reaches its moment of truth. Can he complete a perfect routine? Early on, he makes a critical error. He can't keep the footbag under control. Having lost his rhythm, Ishida is unable to recover.
3, 2, 1, time.
He finishes the competition in 7th place.
After I dropped the footbag for the second time, my mind just went blank. Dropping it partway through like that, I suddenly couldn't even remember what I was trying to do. I hadn't been aiming for second or third. I wanted to finish first, so as soon as I dropped it that first time, I knew it was all over.
The remaining discipline is the singles routine, where competitors put together a freely arranged 2-minute routine in time to music.
Compared to Shred 30, I'm too far behind the leading competitors to have any hope of winning the singles routine. It's a category that favors people with great skills and stable scores for artistic expression. I know that my technical skill level just isn't anything like high enough.
Singles routines are judged on both technical skills and artistic merit. It's a comprehensive assessment of footbag skill. Ishida had come into the championships determined to succeed. And his intensity electrifies the venue. The routine is physically demanding, especially towards the end, but he keeps his concentration and puts on a great performance. He completes the entire set without error, winning the biggest round of applause of the day so far.
I performed at the highest level I could given my skill level. I'm happy with how I did, and now I just have to wait for the result.
In third place, with 3.99, Taishi Ishida from Japan.
Ishida comes in third, just 0.06 of a point away from the gold medal, missing the title by a whisker. he claims his first ever podium finish in the singles routine. On returning to Japan, Ishida goes to thank his sponsors personally.
From this tournament, I could really feel that I might actually be good enough to go for number 1 in the singles routine category. I would really love to give it a shot.
Ishida now has a new goal, and his dreams for popularizing footbag are growing ever bigger.
I want to give as many people as possible the opportunity to watch and be inspired by footbag. My goal is to encourage people to take up the sport and try and build a real footbag community here in Japan.
Taishi Ishida continues to push his footbag skills to new extremes as he works towards his dream of creating a world where everyone can enjoy the sport.
I hope you enjoyed today's show. I could sense footbag player Taishi Ishida's strong commitment to popularizing the sport in Japan, and I was really impressed to hear that he traveled to the US all by himself to compete against his international rivals. And I hope that next year he can fight his way back to the top as world number 1. Thank you for joining us on Sports Japan, and we'll see you next time.